Well, newbie, we are nearing the end of our adventure now, but don't you start taking it easy now, kid. You've got one last stop to make, and well, let me just warn you.
Warn you about what?
Nothing. You know, gear transferal. I was thinking you can give us a little rundown, Grandis.
You know, I noticed you were in Sirius room for exactly 5 minutes and 44 seconds. You better not have been. Oh, look at him. He's so adorable. Oh, look at his little sword. Oh, what are we naming our newly adopted baby?
Right. Well, about gear transferal. Basically, this is referring to any means by which you can transfer gear that you've put on to other characters on your account or even anybody else on the server. Remember when Cinda covered the trade status that all gear has? Well, Grandis here is an expert in all means of changing that status in accordance to a few rules. Isn't that right, Grandis?
You know, you were chatting with Kiri for almost 12 minutes. Don't think I didn't notice those boob hearts.
Look, you and I are not a couple. I don't
I've been
have
looking at Orange Scrapbook for quite a long time too, you know.
Oh, come on. Okay, first, let's look at the applicable trade status a gear may have. Tradable gear is easy. You can trade to anybody on the server via any method, whether it be the trade function, auction hall, mail, or storage. Of the tradable gear in this game, you've got two distinct types. If a gear is tradable, that means that you can trade those freely amongst any character in the server at any time, forever. Most gear of this type is of rare rarity or lower. Tradable sealed is much the same. You can trade freely to any character by any means you want. However, once that gear is unsealed, it becomes bound to the character that unsealed it, after which time it will become untradeable, which segues nicely into untradable gear. As you might expect, this explicitly means that your character is not allowed to trade this gear at all. It must be held on your character's person or in that character's storage. Of the untradable gear, there are again two types. Untradable gear is often what you find with things that are intended to be character bound from the start.
Kinda like you and I, huh?
Oh my god, no. I mean things like NPC obtained gears, quest legendary sets, and epics. Untradable sealed gear is basically just temporarily unsealed gear. If you want to make the item tradable again, it's just a matter of resealing it back up to regain the tradable status. And to close the loop, we've got account bound items. Account bound items are allowed to be put into your account storage or mailed to another character on your account.
This is an unusual property of gear, but it has occurred in the past. But you know what else is unusual? Why was Daphne chasing you around with a knife earlier, some 25 minutes ago?
Look, Grandis, I'm just trying to finish this guide video. Can you please just cooperate with me here? We're almost done.
I don't think you're off the hook for this. You're lucky this baby of ours is so cute though. Oh, I can't resist.
Grandis has two different systems that will help take your untradable items and make them tradable again. Well, maybe, to some extent. First, the reseal system.
Well, reseal is exactly like it sounds. You'll take any item that is untradable sealed and reseal it.
You'll end up with an item that is tradable resealed, allowing the item to be freely tradable again. Any item with that status can again trade, mail, or put into the auction hall as you see fit. The materials required are both high-grade elemental crystals and souls corresponding to the rarity of the gear that you're trying to reseal.
You'll need a scaling amount of both these materials that is dependent on the gear level and gear slot.
Resealing gear is generally the option that you want to pursue if you intend to resell outdated gear. In this case, you'll have the ability to put that gear into the auction hall after you reseal it. If instead though you merely want to transfer gear over to another character on your account, then you should use the Transcendence system.
Transcendence will take any gear that is untradable and transfer it one time and one time only to another character on your account.
This will essentially mail the gear to this other chosen character, and it will be as if they were the original owners. It should be noted that Grandis' Transcendence system really accepts any, and I mean any, untradable gear into the system. I'm talking untradable sealed, boss uniques, NPC gear, chronicle gear, quest legendaries, econ gear, and finally, even epics. Yes, you can transfer any epic over to another character on your account if you want. It's a big deal.
Yeah, kinda like me.
Of course, something like this is gonna get costly, right? Well, not exactly. You'll be using the same items as resealing does, souls corresponding to the item rarity and high grade elemental crystal. But as it goes, Transcendence will always cost less materials than resealing. So again, only use resealing if you intend to sell the item in the auction hall or something. Transcendence has a few exceptions to the material requirements, by the way. Chronicles, for instance, will instead take interdimensional fragment, and the epics we brought up will additionally require a certain number of that gear's corresponding epic fragments. The amount of souls required scales based on the item level and item slot. Play around with it, especially the epics. For instance, the weapon has a very cheap cost in comparison to all other equipment slots.
Yeah, it's almost half the cost of, say, something like a ring. Speaking of which, when are you going to put one on my finger, huh?
Enough of this. I'm walking away now.
Yeah, well, I got my stopwatch ready. You better not be talking to me.
You know, Grandis isn't the only one that can handle gear transferal. Thank goodness, right? There are other standalone items that can perform the same functions she provides as well. The Golden Candle is a Sarashov item, of which is a means to reseal your gear. It expends a certain number of candles dependent again on item rarity and level to reseal an item. The Transcendence Stone is the cash shop equivalent of Grandis's Transcendence system. It will use a certain number of stones depending on the item rarity and level to move an item one time and one time only over to your account vault. From there, any character can retrieve it, after which it will be bound to them. It should be noted there is a limitation of item rarity. You can only transfer up to legendary grade with these, whereas Grandis's Transcendence system can transfer any untradeable item, even epics. Lastly, a common item from events is a Transcendence Stone again. It works just like the other stones we just described, except this time it's a single stone, and works all the way up to the limitation as described. It could only work up to a certain rarity or for a particular gear slot. They even gave us epic Transcendence Stones before, which work as a free transfer of an epic weapon. But that, newbie, is about the end of our adventure together. Sorry, got kind of somber near the end there. Sometimes it's just how it goes, you know, especially when you're pressed for time. You know what I'm saying, DFO? But look at you already, dude. In this short time, you've come up from this ragtag beat up scrub to this awesome looking knight. You're quite one, but maybe that's for the better. After it all, I just hope you learned a few things, and if not, well, maybe you had a few good laughs along the way. As for me, it just seems every time I walk around here, I inch closer and closer to my doom. Got a lot of characters standing around here. Can never be too careful. Hey. Do you feel that? It's getting louder. Uh-oh.